Howdy, guys. Welcome to night 16 inside the Big Brother house. This is Cliff Notes from outside the Big Brother house. Wouldn't that be a cool upgrade for the Big Brother house? But alas, not this year, somewhere down the road. Now, this is Cliff Notes. We're going to be talking about the overnight feeds for night 16. Thursday night, we finished up with the second eviction ceremony. My ride or die, Nicole Anthony, was evicted. Kind of suspected it was going to go that way, but still, hey, my heart goes out to you, Nicole. But Big Brother house goes on, and we've got some conversations to cover this evening. Nothing huge. They did have the HOH. You probably saw that on the show. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about some of the conversations, but a little bit light compared to the other evenings. But let's get right on into it. So first of all, guys, is those of you who watched the episode, I was going to say live episode, but not yet, just a taped episode. And why wouldn't you be watching, right? But they did have the HOH competition. Tyler is the new HOH. Yes, indeed. So power kind of stays over on that side of the house. They cut away from that while the live feeds are gone, I think, till, I don't know, a few hours before the West Coast had seen theirs and the feeds came back on. It comes back on, we start learning that they have new have-nots. Remember, this season, the existing have-nots each pick a new person to be a have-not for the next week. And it turns out that the have-nots for this coming up week are going to be Bailey, Janelle, Christmas, and Cody. Now, I heard a little bit later, apparently, according to Janelle, she feels like Nicole Franzel, who picked Janelle. Imagine that. Imagine Nicole Franzel would pick Janelle for that. That Nicole Franzel may have been just a little bit snippy when she selected Janelle. Again, I haven't seen the feeds. That was just the discussion. But those are the four have-nots that'll be upstairs for the coming up week. It was kind of interesting because those are the four that were picked. Apparently, David, who was a have-not this week, apparently he went up to Memphis and said, "Hey, Memphis, based on last week, you called me out. You made me a have-not. You put me on the block. Based on all that, I'm going to make you a have-not for this coming up week." And Memphis looked at him and said, "Well, you can do that if you want, but just keep in mind, if you make me a have-not, then I'm going to make you a have-not the following week. We can go back and forth." And I guess David backed off from that because Memphis is not a have-not at this point in time. So David got a little pressure back from Memphis and decided maybe there's a different direction to go. But those are have-nots. So now let's get into some of the conversations. Most of this evening is all revolving around Tyler up in the HOH room. Everyone's heading upstairs. You got to kiss the ring of the person who's in power, right? If you don't, you could create some issues. So everyone has been going up and talking to him throughout the whole evening. So a lot of these conversations take place in the HOH, a few elsewhere that we'll cover as well. So first of all, Janelle talking to Davon and Kevin. I think this was in that Love Lounge. Janelle telling Davon and Kevin, this is interesting, that her beef with Nicole Franzel, which obviously they're oil and water, right? That her beef with Nicole is from their experience on The Amazing Race. Rachel Riley had told Nicole that another team was coming for them with U-terms, what they call it, coming for them. Nicole, hearing that information, then apparently told the other team that Rachel was the person who had told her that they were coming for. So she kind of ratted out Rachel on that situation. So that's where this whole beef apparently originated, and we're seeing it taking place inside the Big Brother house. So just an FYI. Another conversation, Kevin and Janelle are talking. Kevin's kind of calling out Janelle, saying, "Hey, Nicole Anthony told me that you were really saying some rough things about me, that I couldn't be trusted, that I was a snake, that's the way I played the game." And Janelle denied it. She said, I never said any of that stuff. I seem to recall her saying some of that, but maybe I'm wrong. I thought she did. But anyway, she said, "I never did any of that." So they basically say, okay, going forward, we've got to be honest with each other, and we're going to have to work together if we want to survive this thing. Kevin told Janelle that, yes, I want to work with you. We've got to work together, but we have got to keep our distance this week. And Davon also is going to have to keep her distance. The three of them want to try to work together, but they know Janelle's going to be the target. They're going to try to distance themselves as much as possible. I think that's a good idea. It may be too late, but I think it's a good idea. Meanwhile, Janelle tells Kevin that she's spilling some beans back to him to let him know what she knows. She says that Cody's been asking her to work with him since day one, but she always has turned him down. And Kevin's amazed. Why would you turn down anyone that wants to work with you? And she said, oh, that's not me. It's not how I play the game. I'm not going to come in and be person number 9 in an 8-person alliance, be the bottom of the totem pole. It's not how Janelle plays the game. And so she said that. She told Kevin as well that they had just come to her last week about joining again, maybe in the last day or two about joining. She told Kevin, just as a way of confirming that they really had come to her, she said, look, this alliance is Cody, Tyler, Nicole Franzel, Danny, and David. Ian is now an honorary member, and Christmas might be an honorary 8th or 9th member also. So she's got all these people who are grouped together that we know. Now there's dozens of alliances, but in some form or manner, all of those people truly are part of part of the other side. She doesn't know about Bailey and Davon and all that, but she's called out some of them just to let Kevin know that she is aware of what's going on. Janelle asked Kevin, she said, look, I'm going to get picked for on the block. I know I'll be playing in veto. If I get house guest choice, can I pick you? Would you save me if I pick you and you won? And he said, well, that would kind of make the HOH person mad. That'd go against the HOH wishes. And she said, yeah, but anytime you use a veto, you're going against HOH wishes. Kevin really wouldn't ever give her an answer. Again, he's trying to play both sides a little bit. He wants to support her. He knows that's the way to go, I think. But obviously, knowing that she's such a huge target, he's trying to back up as much as he can. I get it, Kevin. I absolutely do. All right, so another conversation. All right, let's just get the drum roll going because once again, we have another alliance that is formed inside the Big Brother house. This is number, I don't know. I don't have enough fingers on my hands to be counting up the number of alliances that we've got now. We do have a new alliance that's formed. Danny, Nicole, Cody, and new member Ian, named the 4 Prime. Ian came up with that name, right? We all know Ian came up with the name. The 4 Prime. They may bring in Tyler as well as a 5th member, but they thought it'd be kind of sketchy to bring him in as soon as he gets HOH. It may not seem sincere, so let's wait a little bit. We'll bring him in later perhaps. But this is a new team. I think it's because Kaiser had spent so much time trying to kind of alienate Ian from Nicole Franzel and the alliances she had with Adam. So they're trying to bring Ian back into the fold by having this new alliance. Ian proceeds to tell him that he has spent a lot of time in that key room where Janelle and others thought he was asleep, but he wasn't. He heard them talking about all of these people saying a lot of bad things or kind of dragging them and all of that. So just to let him know that he has been listening and all. They are, and this is interesting. There's one more week left in the safety suite, and Cody and Danny, and they're all worried, and Enzo, they're all worried that after this last week of safety suite, some new power is going to come into play, and they're nervous it could have something to do with an America's vote, kind of like America's field trip last season or something different. And they think that Janelle is probably such a popular person on the outside that if she is still in the house, they're going to give that power to her, especially knowing that she's going to be an underdog and just to see things stirred up. So because of that, they're saying maybe Janelle needs to be our target ahead of Kaiser. We need to get her out before America somehow controls her and keeps her in this house or gives her some power we don't want her to have. So interesting thought about what may be happening going forward. A couple of other conversations. No one knows about Enzo's vote to save Nicole. Kevin has told people, yeah, as me, I wasn't going to not vote for Nicole Anthony to stay. But so they know that one. But a lot of people are assuming that Kaiser was the other vote to save Nicole, when really Kaiser and Janelle both voted to send her out the door. It was Enzo just throwing kind of a hinky vote in there. Doesn't seem like it's a huge issue. No one cares that much because they're so comfortable in their position. But it was a quick little conversation once or twice. A couple of other conversations. Danny and Nicole are talking. Danny is warning, saying, man, if Tyler makes it to final 2, he is going to win this thing. And Nicole Franzel says, I agree. I agree. We got to watch that. So we're continuing to see some division within this big alliance, and it'll get worse as the other side lessens, and it's just bound to happen. So they are paying attention. They're still worrying about different people. Here's another one. Maybe not a lot of strategy talk, but Danny hollers at her, says she wants more Taylor Swift in the morning. They play music to wake us up every morning. She wants more Taylor Swift. Memphis says, I hope not. No more. I don't want any more of it. All I can say is I got a few years on Memphis, but I feel like he's playing the grumpy old man a little bit better than I did last season. So he didn't want any Taylor Swift. He wants Leonard and some other classical kind of music. I just thought that was kind of funny. All right. Christmas recounting the previous night meeting that they'd had with Kaiser, Janelle, Kevin, Nicole, Anthony, where they were trying to bring their votes in. Avon, Bailey, Christmas were in there. She's saying it was sloppy. It was last minute. They didn't talk to us until this point in time. She leaves. This is up in the HOH room. Christmas leaves. Avon immediately comes in, kind of recounts the same meeting as well. And she said, "Man, you aren't going to pressure me into doing that kind of stuff. Don't be doing that. No." And so she's basically saying that she felt it was very high pressure and just didn't work the way they wanted to. So again, they're kind of all making sure that, because again, Bailey came in last night right afterwards and said, "Hey, this is what happened." So Avon and Christmas are all wanting to be absolutely forthright and make sure that no one thinks that they were actually part of this thing. So that was very interesting. Another couple of things, Tyler and Ian talking. Ian comes up to the HOH room and says, I wanted to talk to you. That's part of the process now that you're HOH. And Tyler told him, said, "Look, I wanted to tell you even before the HOH that if I won it, you were good. You're cool." He said, "So I'm telling you now, you're good." So they just sit there and talked a little bit, and he's really trying to bring Ian in. Ian repeated again that Janelle and that side had been talking bad about him in the key room and all that. So it seems like that, at least for now, they've got Ian locked in on that side of the alliance, which is putting Janelle and Kaiser very much in an isolated position. The two of them and Kevin and not a lot of people on that side. So we'll see how long this situation lasts. Another couple of conversations. Bailey and Tyler talking, and they're feeling pretty comfortable. They're saying, "Man, it's so great that our Connect alliance," they're called the Connect, and that is Bailey, Davon, Cody, Enzo, Tyler, and Danny. They're saying, "Man, this Connect alliance, we can make the final six and no one even is going to know about it." Because again, Janelle even talked to Kevin, had mentioned a lot of these names, but she didn't have Bailey or Davon in there. So they are still flying a little bit under the radar. Davon and Bailey still kind of playing both sides a little bit, although it seems like I don't know. I was going to say, seems like they're on this side more. And perhaps that is the case, but Davon is covering her bases on both sides. It's created some suspicions, and it may create some issues for Davon a little bit later. She's probably a little bit lower on the alliance list once they get to the point where they have to start chopping their own people. So she needs to be careful, but she's doing okay riding the line right now. And finally, again, not a lot of stuff going on this evening. Finally, they had some discussion about the safety competition. There's only 4 people who can play on it. They're all on that side, the kind of the new school with all the different alliances. Enzo is planning to win. He said, "Man, let me win this, but who do I give it to?" Normally, you want your +1 security, but with Tyler as the HOH, everyone on that side feels like they're safe no matter what. And along with the +1 that you get, you also get a punishment. So it's kind of a double-edged sword this week. Eventually, Enzo decides or is thinking he may give that punishment to Davon, because he figures she'll be good-natured if she gets a little bit of a punishment, and it'll be okay. She won't get too upset. So they're kind of playing around with that. The main thing is that they're feeling very comfortable this week. Tyler has control. Janelle, Kaiser do not have the safety pass to compete in that competition to get safety. So the plan is to put the 2 of them up, even if one of them comes off the block because of veto. The other one is still up there. The other side feels like they have the numbers. They are very comfortable this week. They're not worried at all. So I'm going to start talking a little bit about what do we do 3 or 4 weeks from now. And Tyler did have an interesting thing. He said, look, he knows because Bailey, Christmas, and Davon, all 3, have said what this meeting was about the previous night. He's telling them, saying, "I don't know if I need to go in and tell them I know all of this and I know they were targeting us and that they know everything, or should I just play dumb and just see what they say?" And I don't know that he's decided yet. We'll find out. But again, that side is feeling very comfortable. This may be a little bit of a boring week, but it's Big Brother, so who knows? So, all right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. Thursday night, Nicole Anthony is out of the house. I hate to hear that, but life in the Big Brother house does go on. I will see y'all tomorrow night or tomorrow morning. We'll cover the next day of feeds. Cheers, guys. SKD 143. I love Big Brother. Bye, guys.